it's just like everybody, isn't it? You've got people who care about others, and you've got people who really care about themselves. You know, and it's sad, but what's common among all these different groups of people? What do they all have in common?
Yeah, there's lots of good aspects, but they're flawed.
Yeah, they're all people, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're all people. Right, here's another group.
Here's who you can trust.
Can you trust this group? Right, this might be interesting. Right, will I put prisoners up here? Will I put crooks up here? Will I put thieves up here? Could you trust a thief? Will I put,
Probably yes.
Probably yes. Interesting response. What about liars? Could you trust liars?
The whole point is yes, you can trust.
What about this group of people? And let me explain where I'm going.
What's that? Oh, no.
The clergy. No, the young man says. Now, why would he say that? Why would he say that?
You're saying about previous times that those people have lied.
Previous times when these people have lied and...
Many previous times religious leaders lied. There are many religious scandals, but you cannot...
Yes, and there are many religious scandals. You know what? We have scandals and lies in family and politicians, the media, the police, the doctors, science, the church, because we're all people, aren't we? So how do you know... Hang on. Let's see, let's pick a different colour for a bit of colour, shall we? How do you know if anyone is telling the truth? How do you know if anyone is telling the truth?
You don't know what it is.
You don't? Well, the only way you can check someone out is if you could check out what they're saying with the reality, right? Who is actually telling? Who can you actually completely trust? Who can you trust? No one.
There's no
Right,
way
that's rather depressing, isn't it? No one.
It's still true.
No
But
one.
how can you trust me, which is when you start going insane?
No one. Actually, there is one person you can actually trust, and maybe you haven't thought about this.
What a surprise. I'll be shocked if that's the answer.
But what is the truth? What is the truth? How did we get here?
There is no chance.
Leave
whatsoever. Come on, give us a big keyword. 1,000 people got their heads together. He said, we'll lie about it.
Don't know what that means.
No chance.
You don't? Yes, actually you do. You just haven't thought of it yet.
No, it really doesn't.
A young man like you, who actually does try to think about things, right, and has opinions, he knows what this means. He just hasn't quite figured it out yet. And when I tell you what it is, you'll know straight away. It's the clue is it's rather large and old.
No, that's free.
Rather
Yeah, you're
large.
gonna have to know exactly.
And actually, when it started, it wasn't. How about that?
Everything is. Maybe yes.
The whole universe gonna pop downstairs.
Big Bang.
Yes, young sir, very good. The Big Bang. Right, is the
Top of
Big
the
Bang
class.
true? Did that really happen?
Yes.
How do you know? Do you know what you're doing? You're trusting these people here.
No, I'm trusting science, which has been proven by multiple different
You're not trusting
scientists.
science.
No, I'm trusting science itself, not scientists to prove I'm trusting
But
science
where do you
itself.
get your science from, you see? This is the question.
Many different
We
scientists.
tend to just
The amount
believe
of
those who have the most credibility in our society, and those who don't, we reject. So, let me ask you this. How many of you know what this is called?
DNA. DNA.
It's meant to be the
Double helix.
Okay.
Double helix.
Right, very good.
I completely understand the man.
Does anyone know what DNA stands for?
Deoxyribonucleic acid.
Almost. Almost.
Good job.
This kid is brilliant. He's absolutely amazing. He really is. You're almost there, and you know what? It's very difficult to get this right because it's not a word you hear every day. You know, deoxyribonucleic acid. Isn't that right? Yes, you know it is. Yes, and also, it also means something else. Do you know what it means? Design, not accident, right? See, you knew that all along,
It's called like God.
right?
Where's
Because
Jesus?
what is in DNA?
Rip it off.
What is in DNA?
Everything. Your memory. Your memory.
Well, actually,
Your genetics.
your genetics, yes. What is your genetics? It
Papa,
is,
mama.
it is a digital code, right? It's a digital code
It's organic.
that tells your cells different aspects of you. But it's not the only digital information, right? There are other parts of digital information. Do you know how many runs on the ladder there are in human DNA?
1, 2, 3, 4,
No,
5.
it's more than that.
A lot.
Yeah, there's around, I've heard,
13.
the numbers I've heard are between 3.2 and 2.8 million runs on the ladder. And each run is a pair of amino acids.
I don't know. I figured trust on the media too much. I figured
Right.
trust on the media when you're.
And they all have to be in the right order. Where does information like that come from?
Big man.
Well, it comes from your parents.
Comes from your parents, the young man says, which indeed is correct, of course.
Their parents and their parents and their parents and their parents up until the dawn of the universe.
Until?
Up until the dawn of the universe, which is the Big Bang.
Until the Big Bang. But you see, the problem is, right, we've made a little jump here, haven't we? Right, think about this, young sir, because you've got a lovely brain there. And think about this. The information had to come from somewhere originally.
Police.
The police! Oh! No, hopefully not. That information probably wouldn't be terribly good. This digital code, right? That lady's got a phone there. She's taking a picture. That phone she's using, would that occur by chance? Could that just poof
No,
come
it
up
was
of the earth,
created
out of
by
the earth,
Jesus.
just by chance?
No, actually, yes, it could. It'd be very unlikely, though.
It'd be very unlikely. How unlikely would that be? How unlikely?
If we
Okay,
didn't
right.
evolve-
A human cell,
Yeah,
it has lipid cells in the enclosure. It has
on its own.
DNA. It has
took
nucleic
time.
acids. It
It
has
took time and multiple
carbohydrates.
different organisms slowly. It took multiple different organisms slowly evolving to the state they are in now.
Okay, but that's a nice story. But what's the evidence? What we need to look at is what we know.
Well, I'd say that
The chances of a single protein coming together by chance
it did
are
come.
twice the number of particles they've calculated exist in the universe. More than twice that number is the chance of one protein coming together by chance. And they all have to be in the right order, and they have to be doing the right thing together all at once.
Just get to the point of Jesus.
Evolution happens. It's not possible. It's not just that it's
It's not possible.
improbable. It's absolutely impossible.
This stuff what? Who can you trust? This stuff what?
We are not significant as that. Like,
If-
it didn't have to come like that. It could have come anyway.
If
But
we're not
this,
significant-
this outcome is not significant at all. Just because you think that there's a probability of this exact thing happening.
Let me make a point.
Yes.
If we're not significant, why should I listen to you? Yeah, come on. Do you know what? We are significant. And there is a basis for our significance. It's not just something I'm pulling out
It's
of the
no
air.
significance.
But there is a reason for us being significant. There's a reason
What is
you're
the reason?
important. Who can you trust? There's only one you can trust. Of course, it's pretty obvious. We'd like to trust each other. We like to do that. Unfortunately, we have this annoying habit of letting each other down. We just do. And even when the people we're closest to are often the people we hurt more than anyone else.
So who do you trust?
Who do I trust? This is where I say
I can guess, but I want to.
basically you need to be thinking of your stomach.
Hey, laugh, I'm happy.
Are you serious?
No, of course not. McDonald's! No, you're gonna trust McDonald's? No!
McDonald's makes me all full. And
Actually, McDonald's did lie to
keeps me
people.
alive.
Actually, McDonald's E-top. Okay, that sounds like an insult to Auntie.
P-pop.
E-top.
Who are you
That's
gonna trust? Ghostbusters? No.
E-top. That fills me with hope.
Okay, there is no prayer. Do you know everything there is to know? No. Okay, if you don't know everything there is to know, how much of what there is to know do you know? only
Very
a
little.
tiny, little, tiny, wincy bit. We know hardly anything at all.
Oh, does it
So how do we know, in the big area of what we don't know, how do we know that the creator isn't there?
If we're,
Well, I say
if we're
by
so
evolution.
insignificant, why don't we know? If we're so significant, why do we not know anything?
Oh, but that's your claim. We can
Why
know.
is God not here right now?
Well, no, that's what you said.
Well, no, you said it. You said we know very, very, very
Yes,
little.
yes.
Why do we know so little if we're so significant?
We only know very little because
We're not big
we're
enough
small.
yet.
Right, there's a lot to know. Right.
We're not small.
Now, I want to put it to you that in the area that so many of us don't know that the creator might exist, also people say, oh, you can't know whether God exists or not. How do you know? Do you know everything there is to know? How
Do you know everything there is to know?
Let me
Oh,
put it-
Dale!
I want to suggest that the creator is not only in existence, but that he has actually communicated.
Where? I can hear him.
He's what?
He has actually spoken
That's the trumpet.
using technology, right, that we still use today, that we still consider important today,
So he goes emails.
so that we could know, right? And there are also other reasons that we can know, like
Michael
the
Babel.
DNA, for example.
Goes emails me, I will put it in my spam folder. Because honestly, I think it was a virus.
So-
I think it was a virus.
He also did something else, just to make it a little bit more interesting. What he did was,
It's like stage one.
Except I thought it would be a virus.
what he did was, right,
He created a
Just
he
like
created
psycho.
grassy hills. No, that's not what I mean. Although he did. The thing is, the creator's actually been here. What he did was, let me see, what color will I choose?
Reds.
I'll use red. What he did was, he came here 2,000 years ago. Now you know who I'm talking about, right? He's been here. The idea that that just poof happened 2,000 years ago without warning is not true. Because
It took 7
for
days.
more than 2,000 years before that, it was told that he was going to come. And a guy called Daniel, who was a prisoner in Chaldea, in Babylon, spoke about the time when this person would come, which was 2,000 years ago. And he did. Now you know what I'm talking about, don't you? I'm talking about
Jesus? Right? Noah. Jesus.
Pardon?
Jesus. Is it Jesus? I have no idea.
What's here? Can you see? Sometimes we can't see the wood for the trees, right? But it just takes a little bit of help, and you can see.
Oh, it's a cage.
That
Look at
means
the point.
God's real. I'm convinced.
If you're convinced by that, that's very sad.
See it?
That's God's real.
That's sad.
Oh, I see it.
Seriously, what is it? Is it
That's
THC?
not good. I'm glad about that. If you were convinced by that, you'd be in real trouble.
Do I?
The thing is, he came here
Where?
claiming to be the creator. Now the question is, was he really? Or was he just some crazy religious dude?
But how do you know he actually did? You trust the sources that tell you that?
Any
I see
serious
it.
scholar
Jesus.
would never deny the existence of Jesus.
But
No,
you can't
Jesus
trust
is
any-
definitely
any
real.
serious scholar.
Well, you're at the point where you can't trust anyone, so you can't even trust yourself.
You said you can only trust God.
No, Jesus exists, but I don't believe
only
he's the son
thing-
of God.
The only one you can trust completely without question
There's too much
is
evidence.
the creator.
But how can you trust the sources that tell you that the creator existed?
You have to examine it, but let me go into that in a minute, okay, if you want. Right.
But is there no objective truth?
Yes, there is.
Oh right.
Yes, truth is an objective reality.
I thought you
See,
just said 2 seconds ago that there was no
what we
objective
find
truth.
in our society is that truth tends to be rather nebulous. It's whatever this person believes or that person believes. Right. Truth is whatever you want truth to be for you. Right? That's what people say. Well, I heard a senior police officer in London say that if someone says you're a criminal, you basically are because they said you were. Is that good news? No, it's not. It's a complete disaster. subjective, it's whatever you want it to be. Yeah. It's nuts, but that's where we're at, because this is a question mark. This is not a given. Like, people are saying, there is no such thing as truth. Now, think about that statement. There's no such thing as truth. Can that statement be true? No. It's a self-defeating statement. But what it definitely does demonstrate is that there certainly is something as truth. Truth exists. So, anyway, back to here, if I can manage to do this. So he came with the purpose of showing us that God existed and pointing to Him. And one of the things he said, right, you get a lot of religious people. The religious people hated him. Right, they really despised him. And they were the ones who basically got the Romans to crucify him and stick him on a cross. Right? And he said, your religion's no good to you. He said,
That's religious disorder.
the standard of God is this: be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. That's an absolute standard. And it's a standard you and I can't make, right? Well, you can. Oh, right, okay. We all failed the Creator. And there's a problem with that, because it means we're going to be separated from Him now and forever. But that's not what He wants. He thinks you are so significant and important,
And he didn't
right?
say.
The value put on you is His life. That's how much you
The mind's
are
earlier.
worth. That's what you are worth. You have incredible value.
He was,
Yep.
he was never.
I want to ask you, where else are you going to find that? In a society that has no understanding of truth as an objective reality, there's no basis for saying any of us have any value beyond what we contribute to society. And if you don't contribute enough, soon that's going to be a problem. It's been a problem in the past. But what he came to deal with was an issue, and I'm going to put a word up here, right? And you're going to think religion when I put this word up, but it's not about religion, right? I'm going to put a word up here that has to do with archery, right? You know,
Archery. Bullseye.
you know, bow and arrow, right? If you shoot an arrow with a bow and you hit a bullseye, it's called a
One shot.
Bullseye.
Headshot death.
bullseye,
Yeah, that's what he says.
right? If you miss the bullseye by just that much,
That's
or
called,
you miss the target altogether,
that's called a miss.
it was called this. It's called a miss, yes. It is basically less than perfect, and that's what this is an archery term, but it got hijacked by religious things, right? So look at what I put there.
I don't see it.
The S. S-I-N. Sin, yes.
Oh, it's just
Sin's an archery term. It means missing the bullseye. Just not being perfect, right? And who is? Well, I'm certainly not, right? And I know from my experience in life that none of us are,
No one is perfect.
right? We're
It's
all,
not perfect. That's imperfection.
and some of us are slightly less perfect than others, you know, but thank you. But you know, the interesting thing is, the older we get, more chance we have to mess it up. And therefore, I would be less perfect than you, because you just haven't had the opportunity to do it yet. But given time, right, when you get to my age, I'm sure you'll have done a job and will probably be on equal par or something like that. So anyway, why did he have to die to pay for this?
Because he came back anyway, so he didn't really die.
No, actually, he did die. His heart stopped. His heart was burst. They stuffed a spear in his side, and blood or water came out, so he was dead.
So water came out?
Blood and water, yeah.
Okay, that's not safe. If water comes out, then you drank too much water.
He was dead. He was dead. They didn't have enough science to
He was dead.
He was dead.
Right, he was definitely dead. He had been beaten up, he'd been whipped with a cat of nine tails 39 times, and he'd been crucified. He was dead, right? And the reason he died for sin is because sin is so serious, the punishment is death. And if we pay, well, we can't pay for it, so the place God doesn't want us to go that's far too hot and dark and miserable
Oh yeah.
and last forever is what he paid for us to escape. He doesn't want us to go to.
Why did he create that place?
It's if we don't want to be with him, there's no alternative. That's it. He didn't make it for us. He made it for the devil and his angels, right? But
Why did he make the devil?
well, the devil was a good angel, but he decided he was going the other direction, like we do.
Now the devil's.
Because we're interested in ourselves, what we get at. Anyway, Jesus shed his blood. He gave his life. Right? He gave his life to wipe out your sin.
Now
To
it's
wipe
just
out your
X.
debts, your spiritual debts, take it away. Right? This is good news. But if that was the end, big deal, because everybody dies. So they took him down off the cross, and they buried him, and they put a big rock in front of the tomb. They put a Roman guard on it, because his enemies knew that he said he was going to come back from the dead, and the disciples ran off scared because they didn't want to be crucified. And on the third day, he came back from the dead. How do you know that happened? That is such an important question. How do you know that happened? It says on the Bible, yes. Is there any other evidence?
No.
Right. Now it says so in the Bible can't be ignored. Right? If you ignore the Bible, you ignore every other work of antiquity, because there's more textual evidence of the veracity of the documents of the Bible than for any other work of antiquity.
I agree, but I still don't believe.
Well, hang on. I'm not done yet, right? I want to give you a reason, right? We need a reason. It's not, if you just have blind faith in something, well, then that's just blind.
Yes, that is what believing in the.
And that's what a lot of people think believing God's about. It's not, right? There has to be a reason. And there has to be information. And the information is this. This happened, right? We look at history, we can see that this idea, at least, has changed a lot of history. If he came back from the dead, what does that mean? If he actually did. If. Right?
It means he's a zombie.
It would mean a lot.
Magic is real.
It would mean magic is real. No. What it would mean is, first of all, death is not the end.
That's not the end.
If he really did. If that really happened, death is not the end. Right? It also would mean that we should listen to him, because not everyone does that. In fact, no one does. Right? It would mean he is who he claimed to be. It means he's the example to follow. It also means here, on the cross, he pays you debt.
That's a cross. I just
But
realized.
here, the empty tomb, it says he credits to everyone who turns to him as king.
Who are we talking about?
Jesus. Jesus.
Son of God,
Right?
Savior
Everyone
of the
who
world.
turns to him as king is credited with his goodness. Right? God gives you his goodness. Right? Takes your debt away, gives you his goodness, because you're good, because you're religious? No! Because he simply loves you that much. Right? It's not because you're a this or you're a that or you're the other. It's simply because you trust him. You turn to him. Right? And that's what he wants. He wants us to turn to him, to change our mind and turn to him. Not me or a religious organization or anything like that, but to him. And then, when God looks at you in judgment, what does he see? Does he see this young lady with maybe a few lies and a couple of other things attached to her soul? No, he sees her with the absolute purity of Jesus Christ and no guilt whatsoever. Because he came here to do it for us. It's not us trying to impress God. Because God sees through us. He sees through us. He knows what we're like. You know, the things nobody else knows about you. Nobody else, well, God knows. You know, and you don't want to tell anyone, because if other people really know, they might not think you're quite as good as you thought you'd like them to think. But the question today is... So ran out of battery at the last moment. So the question for you today is, what are you going to do with Jesus? Are you going to trust him or not? You're going to make a decision. It will be yes or it will be no. I really hope that you will put your trust in him. I have, and I haven't regretted it. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. And